Good afternoon and welcome back to Suicide Pages with Dr. Lulu, the podcast. My name is Dr. Lulu, aka the Mom Attrition, coming at y'all this beautiful Texas afternoon with a brand new guest on our brand new YouTube channel with the same name, Suicide Pages with Dr. Lulu, and we're calling these series the Doctor Chronicles, where I'm talking to doctors like me. Most of them are going to be mocha-licious, but we'll get a dollop of vanilla here and there because we can. We're going to be talking about how the COVID-19 has really, truly affected those of us that are supposed to be the care providers and the healthcare workers. How has it really affected us? And so today I have with me Dr. Ifeanyi Olele. We just realized that we kind of sort of are brothers and sisters because first of all, we're both Nigerians. We're from the eastern part of Nigeria, but also my ex-husband is from Delta State, and so is he, and his wife is from Anambra State, which is mine. So I was like, what's going on here? So welcome, my brother. In my podcast, I call males unicorns, but I call Black males unicorns, because I never get any Black males that want to talk to me about the real stuff. So this is a double whammy because he's also a doctor and he's a psychiatrist. So you know what? If you think you've got any kind of issues, this is the man you want to talk to. And then he's got his wife, who I think is also in the healthcare arena, and they've got a YouTube channel. I'm like, I'm never going to confess if they have anything to do with me starting my own YouTube channel. You'll just never know. But enough about me. So Dr. Olele, buenas tardes. How are you, sir? What's going on?
I'm good. Thank you. Thank you for having me here. And it's very a great opportunity to just talk, and about life, what's going on. And that's what we need right now, just communication, everybody just reaching out to each other.
Honestly, if there's ever been a time when we needed to reach out to each other, it is now. And I always say that imagine what life was like in 1918 during the Spanish flu when they didn't have any of this. And just yesterday, Facebook came up with something called Facebook Rooms, where you can just go and just hang out with your friends. So technology, thank you so much. But it's a double-edged sword when it comes to technology because we have cyberbullying and other things that go on the flip side of it, when we're going to get to that hopefully today. So do you want to tell us a little bit more about you? Essentially, the three things we're going to do today is how has the COVID-19 affected you personally as an individual? How has it affected your family? And then, of course, your work. And then if we have more time, we can talk about mental illness and suicide. But I almost want to say that because it's Doctor's Chronicles, I want to save that for the next time you come on board, hint, hint, so you can talk to us about straight suicide. But today we just talk about you, yourself, and you, all three of y'all. So shoot.
Yeah, so my name is Dr. Ifeanyi. I'm from Nigeria, but also I grew up in Southern California, Los Angeles. I received my bachelor, my BS in psychobiology from UCLA. Then I attended Hampton University, where I received a master's in medical science. And that's about the same time I met my wife. She was getting her pharmacy degree she was in pharmacy school at the time at Hampton University. Then I went to earn my Doctor of Osteopathic Medicine, my DO degree at the Philadelphia College of Osteopathic Medicine. And during that same time, I got an MBA from St. Joseph's University. Then in my training, I went to Larkin Community Hospital, where I was the chief psychiatry resident. And now, ever since I'm board certified now and practicing, I enjoy psychiatry. This is my life's calling, being involved in mental health. And I'm very excited to talk about mental health and wellness. Those are very important aspects. I love talking about it, especially now during this COVID-19 time period. I think it's very important for us practitioners in the community to talk about it because, yes, there's the infection part and the social distancing or physical. I like a lot of people like using the term also physical distancing part of it. But then there's also the part that affects the mental health and our wellness. So.
I am so proud of you. You were going through down the list. I'm like, this is the most learned guy that I know. What is that? 5 different universities or 6 universities, just one person. Congratulations. I know your parents are very proud. Nigerians, you know, we know they carry last. I love it.
Thank you.
So I'm going to start by saying you are very right in the sense that, first of all, there's always been this stigma. Anything mental is like, oh, you know, stigma. But now the universe kind of tossed this curveball on us, like, okay, you guys are going to have to deal with this for the next couple of years, because I know it's not going to go away anytime soon. And then all of a sudden, the flashlights and all the lights are now like boom on mental illness and mental wellness and mental everything. And now we're like reaching out for, you know, connections, like we're talking about, like just being real with our connections, because ultimately that's what matters. Like, you have a big old house by the ocean, you can't leave it. You have a fancy car, fleet of cars, you can't drive it. You have a helicopter, you can't fly it. You have to stay home with those you claim to love the most and learn to know each other. So I think this is actually years to come. We'll thank COVID-19. I know it's hard to see it now because people are dying, but years to come, we will thank COVID-19 at least the kids will thank COVID-19, the pets will thank COVID-19, because now their parents and their owners are home, and hopefully you're getting more one-on-one. So how has it been for you on a personal note? How has this whole experience been for you with all your love for psychiatry?
Well, one, it took everybody by surprise, this pandemic. So that's one thing where we all got hit hard at the same time. However, with the social distancing and physical distancing, I'm a natural introvert. I love being around people, but then I gain my energy a lot during my downtime. So that part of the aspect didn't affect me because I could be at home with my family watching Netflix or Amazon Prime or reading or exercising, whatnot. So that aspect didn't affect me with that because I still able to connect people, but I gain a lot of my energy during like downtime, isolation. That's where I get boosted up. I've got a lot of energy now during this time period. However, being a part of my profession though, like it does, because we're built on that connection, meeting with people, getting to know people. That's where it's been sad, but luckily you said it like earlier. I'd rather us being during this pandemic during 2020 than like 1980 or 1985 or any time period, because we didn't have the technology equipping us to still run our businesses, meet people online like this, how we're meeting right now, or time to have entertain ourselves. Imagine this during like 1985 or 1990. You would go into Blockbuster so many times just to watch the same movies, whatnot, or all the movies running out. You know, there was only a limited amount of cable networks, so it's just, and everything was not on demand. So
exactly.
So everybody may have been struggling during that time period. So it's during 2020, we're at least equipped technology-wise to handle all the restrictions.
And I think it's also easy for us as humans because, you know, we're creatures of, what did they say? Creatures of whatever. We don't like change. We're creatures of habit. We don't like change. We don't like anything new. Oh my goodness, what's going to happen? And so we are not even looking back to saying, thank God we don't have those days when we had the long telephone where there was one phone in the house. You have to take it and pull it all the way to the bathroom to go and talk to your whoever. And that's it. And when the phone rings, everybody knows that there's a phone call. And then we have VHS. You have to go slide it into the, I mean, now you can watch a movie on your phone, on your watch, if you want to. It's like, we really have to thank God that this did not happen any other time. However, as humans, because we're naturally, or we should be adaptable, if this had happened in the 1918s, when it did happen, when the Spanish flu happened, people still survived. But like what they're saying now is not the physically strong or even the mentally strong that will survive. It's those most likely to adapt, because this is unknown to anyone. Like no one has ever, at least in living memory, has been through this before. People that were born in 1918, I don't know how old they are now or majority of them are dead. So we're like the only people that have ever been through this. So we have to find ways to, maybe the first couple of weeks, oh my God, what happened? But after the first month, you shouldn't really still be saying, you know, oh, what am I going to do? We have to learn to adapt. And if you don't adapt and innovate and pivot, they're going to leave you behind. They're going to leave you behind. So talking about adapting, how has that affected your family? And I love what you said about being an introvert. My wife is an introvert, and she, like, she gets energy when she sleeps. I'm like, what? How? But I wake up like this. So it's like, okay, we're just definitely opposites of each other. But how has that affected your family? The COVID-19, the quarantine, physical distancing, social distancing. How has that affected your family?
Well, we're all have to be at home, so we're not used to that, where everybody's in each other's space. But most importantly, is the kids being out of school. So that's why I personally thank all the teachers around the world, because I've always had a high respect for teachers, but it's went to the next level, and I feel teachers should get all pay raises, because the work they do with our kids is phenomenal. And for us, like as parents, juggling our regular work and then trying to teach the kids or help them watch the like Zoom recordings or maintain their class assignments, it could be a lot. And so initially when this started, I was like, how am I going to be balancing seeing my patients? Because that was easy for me. Like it was more balancing the schoolwork with the homework. Because with our kids, you come around, you help them with their homework, but actually trying to make sure that they follow their lesson plans for the school, the rest of the remainder of the school year, be consistent with that. And for me personally, I have kids that are in preschool and first grade, so I have to deal with my kids cannot independently go on and do the logging in because they're younger. If they're like teenagers, they could handle it themselves and print out what they need to print out, follow the syllabus, what's going on. But me, I have to be extra hands-on with that. So I know I'm not in the minority with that. I know a lot of parents who I've spoken to are struggling with that too, or have struggled with that. Like you said, you have to adapt. So it took time. There was a learning curve with that, but we got a rhythm. And but mostly it's with the kids their boredom as well, being on the screen all the time, and also being bored. So you have to find fun ways to keep them motivated and entertained.
I have to say you're probably the third person I've interviewed this way, but also the third person who has said the same thing. It was a little bit challenging at the beginning, and then you quickly had to regroup and just figure out, okay, what do we have to do? Who has to do what so that this will work? On the other hand, I haven't had to deal with that because two of my boys are in college. I mean, it's a different kind of dealing. Two of them are in college. One is at Stanford, supposed to be graduating in a month. Now I'm not gonna be able to go and wear my gele and, show out as the mother of the day. And then the other one is a sophomore at Texas Tech. I mean, but I didn't have to follow them too much on their work because they have already known what to do. But my baby is in high school, and while he's extremely independent, and I miss being the whole mom, but I still had to say, did you do your homework? Yes, mom. Okay, are you sure? Yes, mom. And things like that. So I've had to also still put my eye in there. But I have to thank the universe for the fact that I'm in a different place as a parent. I don't have small children, but I don't know what I would have done. I had someone say their nanny, one of the doctors said her nanny moved in with them for the quarantine because she just didn't know what to do because, like she has smaller kids and full-time work. Dad has full-time work, and the nanny moved in. Well, what if you don't have a nanny? I mean, that's reality. What if you don't have a nanny? So, wow, that's interesting. But how have your kids benefited? I mean, yes, they had to. I mean, there's got to be some benefits. And I wouldn't call it boredom. Do kids ever get bored? Is that such a thing? Like, do kids ever get bored?
I've ever. So with my small kids, at first with that, I was trying to get used to how to put in the schedule. So sometimes okay, here's watch Disney Plus or something, because I got that because I knew immediately during the time there'd be some down periods. But then when I noticed that they're more going towards the laptop and entertainment. I had to cut back on that, and like, we gotta get back to school. So here's your school times, and then you have to earn those TV times or whatnot. And then so that's what we're putting in our household. You have to earn that. And we're trying to limit the amount of time, because right now they could have too much TV time if you're not careful. And I've interacted with a lot of adolescents as well who, after doing homework, they're just playing video games or watching TV. So like, we got to be very careful with this era with our children, because this is unprecedented times. And now that they have more screen time, more TV time. So in our household, we're trying to limit that, make sure that they're doing more physical activities. Like, for example, my daughter wakes up and exercises with my wife and I. So she does that with our trainer. So she works out with us. So just having her physical activity, and with our son and her, we want them to continue playing with their toys, stimulate their imagination and creativity on top of their schoolwork. But we do have to keep in mind of them doing the same things over and over again, that they can get bored. So we try to give them a little downtime, like, okay, here's a short window, you could watch a show, but you can't be watching it too much, because
and also with the YouTube and all the craziness that goes on online, period, the dark web and all of this craziness, like, what is that? But those are real things. Those are real things that happen to real children. So you're right. I cannot overemphasize that. And I have adolescents, or at least young adults. So this is the struggle for me. 2 nights ago, I was like, what are you guys doing at 4 a.m. in the morning? Okay, Mom, we're going to bed right now. I'm like, what do you mean you're still up? And so last night I was like, listen, we're going to do it this way. And then you're going to go to bed. And I put the oldest, I said, okay, you are in charge. Make sure they go to bed at 1 o'clock. That's it. But I also, in some parenting groups that I'm in, I've asked the moms, and they're like, you know what? It's just so rough. They can't go to the park. They can't go they can't do anything. So it's like, we're just letting them do the video game. So then a mom said something about buying the blue glasses. And she actually gave me the link to somewhere you can buy blue glasses to help with the blue lights coming at you. And of course, the neck being bent all the time. I mean, it's potentially, there's going to be a lot of complications from that aspect down the line if the world doesn't come to an end, as the world as we know it doesn't come to an end. Wow. So what about work? How has it affected you at work as far as your patient flow and adaptation, probably maybe telemedicine? How has that affected you with all of this?
Oh, yeah. With my own practice, I have the option of doing telehealth, and I've been doing telehealth for over a year. So it wasn't a big transition for me. I had a hybrid practice, and then also a medical director at 2 other clinics. But with my own practice, I had a hybrid practice before the COVID-19 pandemic, but after that, I just wanted to make everything virtual. So it was an easy transition for my patients in my practice to have that telehealth services. So what I do miss is that interaction of when the patients come in, you exchange pleasantries, talk with them, that human interaction. But we're here during this time, so the virtual appointments are useful. And I feel that the patients feel that it's very useful because of the fact that they could still see me, they could still make their regular appointments. I give them their time. So nothing, we haven't missed a beat or anything. It's just more, they can't come in physically to see me.
Ironically, I work with suicidal teenagers in my practice, and I wasn't even like, I didn't want to hear anything. It was like straight to telemedicine, and it's been amazing. I know some people have struggled with it. I haven't. What I've discovered is my patients, because they're troubled teens anyway, it's actually working out better for us. They're able to show me their books that they're reading, their rooms. One of them took the phone to her garden to show me the roses that she planted. Another one showed me her little, they had like 4 kittens that were like in little boxes, and she showed me the name. One is Buttercup, one is whatever. I mean, it was just now being able to see inside of their lives and then one of them who has difficulty falling asleep at night, I was like, wait, are those string lights in your bedroom? He's like, oh yeah, they stay on all the time. I was like, did you say you have a hard time sleeping? Right there, we were able to take care of that. I would have never known that if I was still not able to take a peek into their life. So it has been for me very, very, very rewarding. Yesterday, this patient of mine specifically took the phone so I could meet her brother, the one she's been telling me about. Well, now you get to meet. I was like, oh my God, he just came back from wherever he went, and I was able to meet him and just interact with them. It's as good. The next best thing is to do a home visit, which you need stuff like that for psych issues anyway, because you can do all you want to do at work. If they get to the house and it's anarchy, work
Oh,
done is zero.
gosh.
So
Yes. And I'm very glad you touched on that about environment, because for me, the way when I'm all about mental health and wellness, and I also introduce a concept of the 8 dimensions of wellness to my patients. And when you were talking about their housing situation, one of the 8 dimensions is environmental wellness. And you brought up a great point where when you have the opportunity to look and to see their environment, how it's like, and you mentioned something about their sleep being interrupted with lights like that. That's very key and important. And especially during this COVID-19 pandemic, is how is our environment where we're restricted in quarantine, our quarters. So it's very important to have a calming environment. And that gives us, like for me in general, when I do interact with patients, that's one of the questions I do ask about: how's their environment, like their community, their neighborhood, their home, or even their work environment. That gives us a good picture to see if they live in a home with so many people. No wonder they're irritable all the time, because they don't have time for their personal self, or
yes.
they're not sleeping well because their bed, it might be old, or it might be lumpy, or they have a lot of lights coming in. So like it's good to know where your patients are coming from. So I love the fact that you were saying that you were very observant about their surroundings.
Yes, I appreciate that. I thank you for saying that. I really, really appreciate that. The other thing I was going to mention to you, since we're talking about 8 dimensions of wellness, is what are the 8? I didn't know that. Do you have a
Yeah,
minute to tell us what they are?
sure, definitely. So there's 8 dimensions of wellness. It's a concept about how people could optimize their overall well-being. And so there's some internal factors and external factors. So I'll break it down. I'll make it easy to break it down. So the internal part of the 8 dimensions, there's physical wellness, which encompasses your sleep, your nutrition, your physical activity. So that's key. Then you have emotional wellness, like in regards to your connecting, I mean, do you have satisfying relationships? How are you able to handle your emotions? Then we have spiritual wellness, which relates to your purpose and your higher meaning in life. And many people will volunteer, pray, meditate, yoga, things to help them channel themselves. Intellectual wellness during this time period, I think, is very important, because due to some people having lack of activity with intellectual wellness, it is challenging yourself with finding new life things that stimulate your mind,
Yes.
such as learning new language, building up new skills. So a lot of people, I'm very impressed. A lot of people are now using this time to like either go back and double down on their business, making their business better, or picking up new skills, taking courses. So that's with intellectual wellness. Then on the flip side, external factors, you have social wellness. It's like your connectedness with people. Are you joining organizations and being involved? Then you have environmental wellness, which we were talking about earlier, how your environment, your space affects you. And it doesn't have to just be nature, but it could also be your home environment. So that's very important. Then financial wellness, which I feel the whole world is affected by this right now, where it deals with budgeting, saving, managing, or finding multiple streams of income, or lack of income, how that affects you. So that does affect your wellness. So there's financial wellness. And then the last one I think is very important is occupational wellness. And this is how do you find your line of work satisfying? And where, like for me, it's very important that with the mental health, I try to make it my own thing and that's why I focus on mental health and wellness. And when I approach my patients, I come from that standpoint and see where they are in life. And I try to talk to them about that, especially with occupation. A lot of us, we spend a majority of our time at work than with our families. Remember, a lot of people say, I work my 9 to 5. And so they're work during that time period. And then they're usually taking traffic to get home. So a lot of people get home around 6, 7, and they're with their families for a short period of time. And then everybody's going to bed and they start the whole cycle again and go back to that 9 to 5 or whatever hours. Within us in the health profession, we have longer hours at times. So that's where occupational wellness is very key to focus on as well.
Wow, that was awesomeness.com, because I went to med school, but I don't think I've ever heard the concept. If I have, I haven't accepted it to kind of let it settle in, but that definitely touches. Is this your personal thing, or is this something that you learned in school? Because I can't remember, but that touches on every single thing: physical, emotional, spiritual, intellectual. And I'm happy you said something about intellectual, because I've signed up for more online courses in the past 6 weeks than I have in my whole 51 years of life. Just trying to pivot and trying to stay relevant and trying to write my 3rd book. And I became a coach in book writing and just speaking. And I'm like, wait, what? But you got to stay doing stuff, you know? And then of course, external, social, this is so good. I'm stealing it. I'm just going to tell you right now.
Oh, it's not my original, but go ahead.
There you go. I heard it from you. So every time I think about it now, I'm always going to think about you, you know, which is great. But that is amazing. If nothing else, we learned those 8 things today. And for me, that is golden, because of the clients that I deal with, I'm going to start. Are you kidding me? Next week, all my patients are going to know the 8 factors.
Yeah. I tell my patients to Google it, because it's on SAMHSA, the Substance Abuse Mental Health Service Administration. They promoted this concept of the 8 dimensions. And once I got introduced to it, I was like, wow. And I started thinking about it from a psychiatric point of view and the patients that I see, and I was like, and it just clicked. And I was like,
exactly.
And then now you think about it, if you apply that to medicine, the patients that we receive, and you just look at all these factors, you see why people are either struggling or not well, you know, because let's say, for example, if you apply different parts of this 8 dimensions, so your environment, let's say you're living in a low income community, you don't have resources to like a Whole Foods or a Trader Joe's, something where you have these nice or bodegas where nice fresh food, or like you don't have those access to that. That's could be a problem. Or like and say your housing situation's bad, and so you're gonna be struggling with their poverty with the finances. So that could also affect maybe your physical health. You're not access to good physicians, or lack of access to transportation. So that's an issue. Your occupation, the type of occupation you have, it could affect your finances, so the level of money you're making. So a lot of these different parts of the wellness affect each other. And so it's very important. And more importantly, if people don't have like a lack of access to resources, it could affect their physical health. And so how are you if you're live in a very violent neighborhood or whatnot, how are you able to go running or exercising, or parks are not safe? So these are factors that I do look overall in patients. And also on the flip side, let's say people are, and highly successful and highly rich people are not immune. I mean, they also could have struggles with this, because maybe too much money, now they're too stressed. They have a job that's high demanding, where they're like, man, I can't.
Aspect will be broken. I want to hug you, and I can, but I'm just gonna. But the thing about it, because this is like light bulb freaking moments for me. Like just now, I'm gonna go on Facebook this weekend, and I'm gonna talk about it. And from now on, I'm gonna talk about it. And I'm always gonna remember you, because, you know, in Nigeria they say whenever you wake up is your morning. So for me, this is my morning with this. I said this is the month of May, and I called it the month of mental wellness. So what do you think is gonna be my next newsletter? this. Because
Mhm.
it's like, oh my God, like, look at this. My third book, even though it's about bullying, I'm going to sneak this in. I'm going to find a way to sneak it in because it's about, this is so like, puts every single thing in perspective. And yes, you're not safe. You can have all the money and maybe you have the physical, you have a trainer, you have the physical, do you have the intellectual? Are you reading? Are you taking a break? Are you going out there? Are you, like, something is missing. I'm just so happy. I
And
thank you for that.
I use that as a barometer, and especially during this COVID-19 period. I think honestly, that's what has helped me, kept me sane, because I look at all of those different factors and I pay attention to, this is a good about self-care. And so when you're able to pay attention to all this, it's like you're a barometer, just you're taking a temperature to see where you're hot and cold in different ones. If you're able to look and apply this concept to all aspects of your life, you're gonna see a lot. It's gonna take work. It's not something where you hear it, it's okay, yeah. But if you're really paying attention to it, and I've had patients who I've shared this concept with me report back to me like, Doc, I've shared this with some of my friends or a group I'm in. They loved it. We're gonna implement it. And another person will say, yeah, I'm using it. It's helped me improve myself. It's
Balance.
actually balance. It's all about balance. And so a lot of people, we all look at, and that's why I like sharing this with young people, because young people feel that when they see their peers and their friends and they're like, man, they're doing well, they're doing this, I'm a loser, I'm not doing, but they always sometimes looking at one aspect of that person's life. Like, let's say the kid that you're looking at has, oh, they're from a wealthy family, they're doing well, but inside the household, maybe they may have parents or people that aren't even talking to each other, versus the kid.
That are addicted to drugs, and then tomorrow they're the ones that kill themselves or not. I mean, it's like, oh my God, what happened? But they live in the big house by the ocean. Yeah, they do. But
Yeah.
what's going on inside the house? And so this is amazing. And you know what? Every other Saturday, I have a teen-to-teen support group. So tomorrow I have another one. You can bet your bottom dollar that I'm going to be talking about.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm an advocate of this 8 dimensions of wellness, and that's why
I'm calling
anytime.
it 8 dimensions of self-care, but you know what? You call it what you like, but it's the same
Yeah.
thing. I love it. I love it. I love it. And you know, because it's only 8, it's not like it's 12 or 15.
Mm-hmm.
Like, what was the other one? And I like the way you put it, internal or external. So that breaks it down to bite-sized pieces. And
Mm-hmm.
that is just so cool. That's 8 weeks of class right there for me. This is 8 weeks of class. And because I do give talks on suicide prevention, this is it right here. Even though most people, and you know, that brings us, let's segue into the suicide prevention part. We might as well go there. So what are your thoughts about the physicians? Again, I want to keep this as close to Dr. Chronicles as possible. What do you think? What are your thoughts? What are your thoughts in the recent physician suicides that we've heard? Of course, we all know physicians have the highest rate of suicides, period. And when you throw in residents and throw in medical students, we have the highest for sure. But what about the most recent ones? Do you have anything to say at all? If you don't have to, with regards to the physicians that have killed themselves in during the COVID-19. Of course, going back to your top 8 now, I'm realizing that, or rather your 8 now, something was missing in those 8, you know. But what are
Yeah.
your thoughts about it, since you're a doctor?
Yeah, I mean, when that happened, every time you hear about a physician or healthcare worker dying by suicide, that hits close to home, because you're like, wow. And then you start thinking about, what about that support system? What was going on? And that's one of the things I think about. And it hurts, you know, because I feel like our healthcare community, our physician community, it's like this brotherhood, sister, this family where you all went through the trenches of medical school, residency. So you understand, like, regardless of specialty, you kind of have this connection, like you paid a price, you know, and that sacrifice. And so when you see your brother, your sister, and, you know, like die like that, it touches you. And yeah, and but despite my training as a psychiatrist, where I am trained to handle this and take myself out of the situation, but from human to human, at the end of the day, we're human beings, and it hurts. But you want to be in a place where we could prevent it and educating, and that's why I'm glad we're having this conversation, because we get to talk about it. And I think that's one of the things that is not happening in our healthcare worker or physician community. We're not talking about it because we're supposed to be built tough. that's one of the things that we always, when we're training, is like, you have to be tough, be precise, be good decision makers, and we have no room for error. And we're like robots, and we are superheroes to our patients and other staff. But then it takes a toll on somebody when you're doing all of this, and then you come back home and you don't want to talk to anybody in your family. You just want to be to yourself because of all the stuff that was taking place either in the ER, the office, the hospital floors. And it just could be a lot for healthcare workers. And I don't want anyone listening to this.
I know it was
Yeah.
tough, very tough. It is a lot. It's a whole lot. So besides the top, I keep saying top 8, besides the 8, which are just obvious now, what, do you have any, maybe 2 or 3 things you could say to a brother or a sister physician right now who is thinking about, ending it out this weekend because they've just had it?
And this is what I always do. And this is when I do hear people, like, I always say, your life is beautiful. That's the first thing I want to say. And no matter how a person says, oh, it's not rosy right now, I'm stressed, I have loans, I have poor physician ratings or whatnot, whatever the negatives are, I want everybody to know your life is beautiful. This is just a season you're going through, and there's potential resources to help you out, and you're not alone. And so I think that's one of the things is a lot of times our physician brothers, sisters feel that they're alone, or any healthcare worker feels that they're alone in a situation it's only them. But just us that are not going through it, but able to be in there, listen, and saying just the phrase saying, I got your back, or I'm here for you, I think that goes a long way. So that's one. And then 2, clinics, facilities, organizations, make it available for your healthcare workers to know that you got their back, and not just saying, oh yeah, we got your back, you got a promotion, we're paying you, but more like, okay, here's some time, maybe group therapy for time to vent. Or I think that's where to feel heard. Or I know a lot of hospitals have great doctors' lounges where the doctors can have a TV, quiet time, just TV, snacks, continue that, just for the environment of the doctor, just to decompress, and more so offer services saying that, you can go see a therapist, go see a psychiatrist. It's okay, because you are a human being, and the type of work you're doing, it could take a toll on you, because like I said earlier, we are trained, we are able to handle, and you take all that, keep seeing these things over and over again, and it could affect you, just like other people in different industries as well. So
yeah,
that's what I would say.
If anybody's talking about the phrase #Doctors' Lives Matter. Okay, I keep going, healthcare workers' lives matter. Now we're seeing how our lives matter. And there was something that went viral on my page, the picture of a bunch of physicians, I don't know, doctors, whoever, they were sleeping. There was the picture that said, this year, I don't want to see any Hollywood Oscars going to actors. I don't want to see any, I wanted to go to healthcare workers, because now we're seeing that we really do matter. And I just wish we ourselves will see ourselves as needed to live. Because I know the day when I quit my job as a pediatrician, I came home buzzed. I was like, I didn't want to talk to anybody because my 7-year-old patient had just tried to hang himself. I was like, no, I didn't want to talk. I needed a mental health day, but the next day I had to go back to work, and the next day, and the next day. I didn't even have time to unpack what had just happened to my patient. And when my patient did indeed kill himself way, way, way back when I owned my own practice, I was in solo practice. I didn't have time to take off to deal with the fact that he just killed himself. And then my friend, a colleague, a resident, she killed herself. I went into labor with my son. That's how I was not able to go to work, because I went into labor. I would have had to go back to work the next day. We just are not allowed to take a break. And so hopefully this 6 weeks, or however number of weeks of quarantine, some of us have been able to maybe just watch Netflix. If you want to watch Netflix, watch 90 Day Fiancé, which I think is the most ridiculous show ever. but there are Nigerians in there, so I watch it. Just watch TV. If you just do what you gotta do to survive.
Yeah.
Wow, it's been awesome. I can't believe it's almost 1 hour, and we've been talking
Oh
nonstop.
wow. Yeah.
I do want to ask you a couple more questions because I happen to be a mother of 3 Black boys.
Yeah. Yes.
And in my neighborhood here in Texas, a few weeks ago, my 2 sons went running, and we've lived here for 8 years, nearly 10 years. And don't you know, they were escorted back, not back, but they were followed by a police car. There's only one police guy that lives in this neighborhood. I can't think of anybody else, but my son used to play with his son. Was it the police guy? We don't know. They didn't stop to ask because it's like they were too happy to come home, and I was too happy to see them home. If I get upset, they're going to say, oh, angry Black woman. But you see how this can drive somebody bonkers. One of my sons, he doesn't want to go running anymore, and I don't blame him. But he should not have to fear to go running. What do you have to say about that as a psychiatrist and as a Black male? Because you are an endangered species.
Yeah, at the end of the day, I'm a Black man first, regardless, until I open my mouth.
Exactly.
And say I'm a psychiatrist. But what I have to say is it's tough because you would, as a person, you would think in 2020 that that we wouldn't have to experience it because we have media. The world is very small now because through social media, technology, you can't say, oh, I don't know I don't know what's going on in another world because you can watch the news, pick up your, so it's just like exposure, like, why is it still happening? But it's painful, but we, as always, like they always tell us, we always got to be excellent and make sure, but times people are telling, I'm tired of being excellent, because we're still gonna get hurt. And so that's why I feel it's definitely, what I always say is continue exposure. I think that's one of the best things, like people that are scared of not knowing other people, is exposure, being introduced to other cultures, learning about that, because the more exposure you have to, the more your prejudices and discrimination towards other groups lessen. Then two, if you see something, say something. So I feel like it's important that people that are, like for example, with black males being in these targeted incidents, if other people, other races or other cultures see this, they talk about this and also verbalize it being wrong, because I think it's important when something is not happening to your group. It's not cool to be silent when not, but just also lend an ear, hear what's going on, and if you see something, verbalize it as well. Because I think that's very powerful, where if it's not just only the Black community talking about these issues, but also other communities saying this is wrong, because then when we start supporting each other's communities, I think problems like this don't cease. And then with the police officers, one thing I wanted to say is that they're, the police officers that do this, I think is good for their communities to also police them, because there are also phenomenal cops are in this community that, do everything for the community. They know people. So I think that's one thing too, is police officers that to be integrated in the community, motivate the kids in the community so they could look up to them, be partners in the community. So where the community trusts the police officer's judgment, because in my community where I'm at, there's respect for the police officers, because the police officers are at our church. They're at our church services, watching the flow of it. So people see the police officer, they say hello, because they know that police officer is part of the community, and they know that the police officer has their best interest. And if we did a crime, we're like, oh yeah, you did a crime, so but at least you could go to the courthouse and defend yourself of being alive instead of being shot. But I think that's important for police integration in the communities, which they are doing. But I'm just saying that the group that are not that are causing all this drama with that, I think the police that are doing the wrong should also police their colleagues that are doing these incidents.
Yes, absolutely. Wow. I can't believe we're up with this time. It's time. I can't even believe it. But this has been Amazing. Thank you so much for coming and for being so gracious with the time snafu we had. I wasn't sure what time was it, but not time. And then, of course, the drama before I got here. But you have been an amazing guest. Thank you so much. I can't thank you enough. And thank you for being my brother. And I have 3 sons. So, of course, I want them to meet men like them that have gone before them and are fighting the good fight and are thriving in a very hostile environment. So thank you so much for the work that you do, for your own work also with your wife on YouTube. So can you tell the listeners and the viewers in this case where they can find you, maybe the name of your YouTube channel and wherever else, maybe the name of your practice maybe?
Oh, definitely. So for social media, our social media for our practice is at GPS Mindset. You can find us at GPS Mindset on Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, and YouTube. Our YouTube channels where we have our mental health and wellness videos. Then my practice is Genesis Psychiatric Solutions. I have an office in McLean, Virginia, and Washington, D.C. So I'm here in what we call the DMV. To your listeners, the DC, Maryland, and Virginia area.
I went to Howard, AQ.
Oh, yeah, I went to Hampton, so
Get out here. Oh, well.
So, yeah, definitely.
There's HBCUs and then there's Howard, We
very, very, very powerful experiences there and very great people.
Yeah.
At HBCUs.
So did you say Genesis Psychiatric Solutions?
Yes.
Okay. Wow, it has been awesome. I guess they can find, there's a website also, is genesispsychiatrysolutions.com.
Yeah, our website is www.gpsmindset.com.
Ironically, I saw that on your YouTube channel. I was like, what's GPS? I didn't know it was Genesis Psychiatric Solutions, so that's cool. Okay, very, very nice. Well, do you have any parting words? Generally with my podcast, I like to have, if you have like a favorite book you're reading or a favorite podcast, wink, wink, that you listen to, or, or just something like words of wisdom before you leave. I mean, this has been packed with words of wisdom, so I think we're good on that. But do you have any favorite book you're reading or favorite something?
Yeah, the book I'm reading right now is T.D. Jakes' Destiny, book on destiny. I think that's a very powerful book for anybody to read because it focuses on you. So that's part of my intellectual wellness where I'm trying to improve upon myself. And definitely I want to give a shout out to all the healthcare workers right now, the frontline workers. We love you. We all love each other and we're going to get through this. And yes, we're doing what we can. And if you have a healthcare worker that's a family member, tell them you love them, text them, tell them you got their back. I think that will go a long way. That'll give somebody a boost of energy. So yeah, that's the words of wisdom. And then yeah, that's about it. And I really appreciate it.
Yes, sir. Wow, thank you so much. Ladies and gentlemen, this is Dr. Lulu, aka the Momatrician. Thank you all so much for listening, for watching, for interacting. I really appreciate Dr. Olele. It's been amazing, just an amazing brother, keeping it real and of course doing things bigly. I can't believe I just said that, but it's true. So I appreciate you for coming. Thank you so much. This is Dr. Lulu, aka the Momatrician, signing out. Y'all, make sure you wash your hands. Make sure you wear a mask if you're going out. This is real. You could get sick and you could die. And on that note, I'm going to say peace out, so long, farewell.